Hello everyone, Kevin Stevenson here with GetMeTheGeek.com, and today we're going to look at TrueNAS, Nextcloud, and we're going to throw in some HTTPS to secure our Nextcloud install using Nginx Proxy Manager. And we're going to set that all up running on our TrueNAS box. So let's get started. All right, here we go. Let's just go ahead and pull up our TrueNAS box. So here is our TrueNAS. I'm going to reload the page real quick because it'll probably want me to reinstall or, log in. Okay, here we go. We're in our TrueNAS. And the first thing we want to do is, if you followed on our last video, we went and we created a virtual machine that has Ubuntu on it and Docker installed. So if you missed that video, go back and check that out, because you're going to need to have that before we do this operation. So what we're going to end up doing is going to the plugins and installing Nextcloud. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Just click the install. Nope, I think I must have picked the wrong thing. Click on Nextcloud. Click on install. So you get your plugin. You just need to give your jail a name. Nextcloud J or jail. We're not going to change anything here. We're going to NAT it and click save. And that's going to take a few minutes to install. And so it'll create a jail for the plugin and install MySQL Server and Nextcloud all in one thing, and it'll give it a port. So we'll just let that happen. Okay, here we go. Now this is all installed. So now we have Nextcloud installed, and you got all this stuff, and you'll get an IP address which is going to be the same as this, and then we're going to end up having a special port. So we're going to close this. That'll refresh, and it'll tell us our port 82. So we can take that, go down here and click manage, and it's going to pop up Nextcloud in the window. So you're over here, and post install notes will give you your database and user and database password and admin user and password for Nextcloud. So this is uniquely generated per install. And, I'm showing you this unblurred because I'm going to blow this all away when it's all done. So, so you just take this password or username and the password you see here, and you paste it in, and boom, you're logged in for the very first time. You can go over here to your files, and you will see that you have files. We'll go ahead and just open up this image, and boom, there's a bird. All right, so our next step, what we want to do is we need to go and do a little bit of prep. So we're going to switch over to Portainer, which I have running right here on this machine. So if I go down here to the virtual machines, you'll see this Ubuntu Docker that I created, and open up a VNC shell for that. I'm logged in, and I might do an IP space A. You're going to notice that the IP address of this virtual machine is 203. So that's why I'm in this Portainer on 203. So like I said before, if you missed my Docker install on TrueNAS, go check that video out, which will get you to this point. And this is our Docker install. So what we want to do is go ahead and take a look at Nginx Proxy Manager. So Nginx Proxy Manager is a wonderful product. What it does is it acts as a proxy between your web servers that you have locally in your network, and it'll do things such as get an SSL cert for you. So we're going to install Proxy Manager using Docker and going to secure our Nextcloud instance with a Let's Encrypt SSL cert created using Proxy Manager. So go to proxymanagers.com Scroll on down and you're going to see this Docker Compose file. Now, if you just want to run command line Docker Compose, you can create this Docker Compose file at the command line of this Ubuntu virtual machine we had, and it will give you this. However, we are going to use Portainer. So you take this right here and you copy it. And I go over to our Portainer instance and you go to stacks and I say add stack. And now I want to point something out real quick here, is that stacks deployed there is the equivalent of Docker Compose. Only Compose formatted version 2 is supported. So this is very important. You look at this, this is version 3. However, the wonderful thing is that nothing in this Docker Compose is actually using version 3 features. So we can change this version from the Nginx Proxy to version 2 without causing a problem. So let's just look at our Docker Compose file for 1 second and see what it's doing. Number one, it's going to install Nginx Proxy Manager, the latest version. It's going to expose ports 80, 81, and 443. And it's going to use MySQL database. So you scroll on down here to the DB, and we're also going to pull a MariaDB image. And these are the root passwords. So if you want to change all this stuff to be more secure, not standard, you should do that absolutely 100% when you deploy this for non-test purposes. I'm just using this for test purposes. And so I'm not going to change those in this instance, but you should. And that's all there is to it. So what you need to do is give this a name. We're going to call it Nginx Proxy Manager Stack. And so now I have a name and I pasted this all in here. All I need to do is click deploy. And that'll take just a second to deploy, because what it's going to do now is it's going to go pull those images from Docker and then run them on this machine. And that'll take just a second. Your mileage will vary depending on how fast your machine is. Ah, looky there. It's all done. So now we have this stack. If you look at that, here it is, Nginx Proxy Manager Stack. You'll see that the first one, the DB is running, the app one is starting, so it's still running these things up. By the way, like I said about those port 81, 80, and 443, what those ports are. 80 is HTTP, 443 is HTTPS, and 81 is the management stack for Nginx Proxy Manager. Going back to our dashboard, you will see one stack here and 4 containers. So if I go over the containers, I already had a Portainer container running, and then I have a plain old HTTP web one running, and now these are our 2 that were created from our Docker Compose file. So now, if I go over here to the management stack and I click on that, it's going to go bump, 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 because it's 000, because it doesn't actually give you the IP address. So what we need to do is put that IP address in. 203. And so now I know it's 203 because I have everything on this container running on 203. So I go over here and it says log in. Well, there is a default. So if you scroll on down here, you will notice that the default login is admin and change me. So you're going to log in with that. Like I said, change me. The first thing it's going to do is say, hey, you need to update this. So we're going to go ahead and update. And give it a new password. And so now you have a new username and password. So make these super secure. So, all right. So now we go back to the dashboard. I have 0 hosts, 0 redirects, 0 streams, 044. So we have our basic proxy manager set up. So next thing we're going to need to do is go ahead and take a look at what we need to do to this Nextcloud instance to make it work. So we go back over here to TrueNAS. And if you go to jails, you're going to find that there's a Nextcloud jail that was created with this. So we're going to go and expand that and click on the shell. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see this easily. Now, I'm going into the shell right here. Actually, just hit Control-0 and look at this font size. I can make this big from here. Didn't realize that. But hey, so you can SSH into the TrueNAS box and then get into these gels. But I find this pretty easy. The first thing we want to do is I am a big fan of not using VI. Hate it. So we're going to install Nano. So easiest thing to do with that is just go to PKG update, and that's going to call upon the repos and make sure that everything is up to date. We just created this, so it probably is anyway. And then you can do PKG install Nano. So that's going to go out, get the Nano program, and install it. And now life is easy. So we're going to go and change to the Nextcloud config location, which is usr local www Nextcloud config. Oops. And that switches us to that directory. Now you'll see that there's several in there. We actually went to config.php. This is where we use the Nano. Boom. So this is our config for PHP. So we're going to end up doing two things. First thing we need to do here is I'm going to give this an actual. We're going to have it to trust a domain, and so I've created a domain. So we're going to go over here and put 2 and then equals, and what that domain is. Okay, so Beaker, IT Services, St. Charles, Missouri.com. That is what we have. So that does one thing for us. When we actually do get it forwarded to the actual domain name, that you have permission to access it. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to add a trusted proxy. And so you might be asking yourself, where did I get that information? Well, our proxy manager is on this IP address right here. So that's the IP address we're going to put in for the proxy. Get back to 192.168.11.203. And that's all we need to change. So we hit Control X and save it, and boom. Now you're out of there. Okay. And so I can go ahead and refresh our Nextcloud instance, and it still works. We're going to go back over to the Nginx Proxy Manager. there's no host, we're going to add a proxy host. So that's the domain. And now, what about this next part? Well, that's a good question. So if we go back over here to our Nextcloud, you're going to notice that this is this 8282. So let's just take that, go back over here, and we're going to paste that in. Now, we really just need the IP address in there because HTTP is here. So if you're actually running HTTPS, you can select HTTPS from here, but it is doing HTTP. And then we have those ports, 8282. So we go back over here. That's the 82 to 82 is the port, and this is the IP address. So that's what you fill out here. Then we're going to go click a few of these things, public accessible, and then we're going to go over to SSL, and we want to go request a Let's Encrypt SSL, and you have to agree. Pick an email address. We're going to go ahead and put HTTP support force SSL. You can do this HSTS. I'm not going to do it in this particular challenge. If you use the challenge, this is interesting. If you flip this back and use the challenge, you can pick a DNS provider. So if you're using Cloudflare or something like that, then you can choose those and it will automatically do a DNS challenge. And that's good if you want to do HTTP with a domain and you don't actually want it publicly accessible. So just keep in mind with it. That's one of the reasons why I would choose that. And so request new cert, SSL, HTTP2, blah, blah, blah. Details over here. You're good. Just go ahead and hit save. What's going to happen is it's going to go out there and request that internal error. The reason why I got this is because I already have a cert because I've done this recently. So we're going to go and just real quick, I'll pause this. We're going to set up a different DNS record and all will be good. Okay, we're back. So I've changed what we're going to do. We're going to change our new name to Muppet. And so let me go back in here to the shell and CD back here and then edit our config. We're going to go ahead and change this to Muppet and Control X. Yes, boom. There you go. Now we can go back over here and we're going to change this. Okay, so everything's the same. This will be that. SSL request, force SSC, all this good stuff. Like if you're going to run this long term, you're going to want to enable HSTS. So we're going to try this one more time. Hit save. It's trying and thinking about it. We just updated the DNS record, so it might take it just a second. Boom. There we go. This first one, I can go ahead and delete. All right, so here we have Let's Encrypt all set. Let's just go ahead and edit this and take a look. So again, it's just here. SSL is in there. Boom. If you have extra stuff that you need to do in the Nginx configuration, you can stick it right here. All right. So here it is. So you see this config and Muppet. So did I not do it? Muppet. Ah, I misspelled. Boy, oh boy. S. All right. So there you go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and log in one more time. So go back over here. And first of all, I can exit out of my gel. Go back into the plugins. It's going to take it a second. You'll populate yours. Go down here and post install to get our username and passwords again. Close that one. So boom, that's the username. Here is the password. And boom. So here we are again. Now we're logged in to this Nextcloud instance using HTTPS. So let's just go ahead and look at that. See, secured. And if you want to go ahead and you can take a look at that cert, you will see that it is for this domain, and you will see that the issuer statement, or you can go to that. But if you go over the details and everything, you're going to see Let's Encrypt. So that's how it was created, using the Let's Encrypt. And so there we go. Here's a document. Let's just, let's open up this PDF. Boom, there's a PDF. Maybe let's just go ahead and upload a file. So let's just do that. Let me go and I will grab a picture real quick. Yeah. Here's a Docker. Or how's this one? Let's just go ahead and we just drag that on there. Boom. And it uploaded. By the way, this is a great video. Check it out. So that's all there is to setting this up. And the important thing here is that you're now running securely your Nextcloud instance using HTTPS and a valid Let's Encrypt cert. And so moving forward, you can just use this Nextcloud. And if you've never used Nextcloud, you may want to check that out. It has a lot of great features. If you're familiar with Google Drive or OneDrive or all that other cloud drives, this is a great open source alternative that can do all those good things. You can install the mobile app, the desktop app, and anything. So check it out. All right. This has been another Nextcloud, Docker, TrueNAS, Beehive, hypervisor, all kinds of technology tutorial at basically from zero to install of setting up a Nextcloud instance to host your files. You can back up your phone photos, especially now that Google is no longer giving you free storage for all your photos. Check out this Nextcloud and it'll be secured on your TrueNAS box. And that is a beautiful thing. I'm Kevin Stevenson with GetMeTheGeek.com. Thanks for joining us for this tutorial.